Welcome to the Sunday Times Politics Weekly, where we explore the big political issues of the moment. I'm Mike Siluma. Thanks for joining us. Since Deputy President Paul Mashatile's appointment, there has been keen interest to better understand where he stands on national issues. He recently sat down for a wide-ranging chat with my colleagues Caiphus Kgosana, Kgothatso Madisa, and Sibongakonke Shoba. This is how that discussion went.
You asked Mr. Ramaphosa to sit down first. I'm standing.
Now I warn you.
I need to put on my big girl panties and keep going.
You can't have two speakers standing at the same time.
Security services of the Republic of South Africa, you may intervene.
There's been several attempts on my life.
Lower that hand. It's
not allowed.
The president is accused of serious crimes.
I know I'm going to become the president of this country.
You are going to be the president.
I am going to be the president
of South Africa.
Of South Africa. There's no confusion.
Of South Africa.
I will cancel race.
Corrupt people do not eat alone. They have a spider web.
I'm there. I can lead them. I'm ready to be the president of this country.
I now suspend the proceedings. I have warned you.
Thank you so much, Deputy President, for making time to talk to us. We've been making requests for a very long time now. We really appreciate it. We've never spoken to you ever since you assumed this position of Deputy President. Maybe as a first question, how are you finding government? You've been out of government for a while. You were TG of the ANC for 5 years. How are you finding government now that you're back in government?
Lots of work. As you know, the president has asked me to roll out the DDM. Now, that's where there is lots of work, because you're bringing in all spheres of government, national, provincial, local government, and it requires traveling to all those provinces, because we're avoiding to implement in silos. So what we're doing now is take all the plans, bring them together, have one plan for every district. So it's a lot of work, but we've started doing it. We have been to a number of provinces now, Gauteng. We went to KZN, to Northwest, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, Free State. We are planning to go to Limpopo as soon as possible, and the Western Cape. So it's a lot of work, but it's very exciting because you interact with people. One thing with the district development model approach is it's not just government. So government, we bring in NGOs, trade unions, and I found that of late, even the traditional leaders were very, willing to be part of this. In fact, in KZN, they actually complain why are they not part of the DDM. So we said, no, we think it's correct that we should include them, especially because of their interaction with those constituencies in rural areas. So that's one thing. We're rolling out the DDM. We're going all over these provinces. The second one, the president asked me to do is to specifically engage with traditional leaders. I've now met the National House of Traditional Leaders, met traditional leaders in KZN, in Eastern Cape, Northwest, and I will be having more meetings with them, because in the Eastern Cape they want me to come back, and also KZN. When we go to Limpopo, we'll also meet traditional leaders. But because I've met the National House, they've already indicated what the challenges are. One is equity. Traditional leaders feel they're not treated the same. The others who are getting much better conditions than others. They complain about tools of trade, that they don't have cars, they don't have offices, laptops. So the national, the chair and the Secretary General of the National House of Traditional Leaders raised these issues with me. But as I go around, I pick them up as well from traditional leaders themselves that they want to have much better conditions of service in their constituencies. So that's the second issue. President also asked me to chair SANEC, which deals with the fight against HIV/AIDS and other diseases like TB. We've already had several meetings, including celebrating or commemorating the International Day against TB. So I'm working well with SANAC, and then President asked me to chair the Human Resource Development Council. We've also had a number of meetings. The good thing with the HRDC, it's got provincial structures. So when I go to provinces, I take the opportunity to meet with them. So I've done it in KZN, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga. So we get a report from them, what is it they are doing to ensure the rollout of skills in the province. And most of them are doing quite well. I mean, KZN, they're training a lot of young people, including farmers, and so on. So I chair that committee. But of course, there are recent issues that have necessitated the president to set up additional committees, and one was the issue of the ICC. So the president has set up an interministerial committee on that, which I chair, just to look at how we deal with that issue. As you know, we have invited President Putin to BRICS because we are hosting. So we've invited all the BRICS members. But because of the decision of the ICC, having issued the warrant of arrest, we are looking at how to manage that. So at the moment, the president is engaging with President Putin to see how we can deal with that. We had initially thought if it can't be resolved, maybe somebody must host other than us, but
if I may interject, TP, what is the ideal resolution? Would it be President Putin not coming to Johannesburg?
Well, that's what we propose from my committee. The president met with him. The Russians feel they don't want him to participate virtually. They want him to come. So we have not resolved the matter yet. I think the president is continuing to engage with the other BRICS members to see what is the best way. Because South Africa obviously is bound by being part of their own statutes, that if he's here, he must be arrested. But that's not our position. He's a member of BRICS. We want everybody to participate. But we've left it to the president to see how best it can be resolved. So that committee will meet again to look at other issues around BRICS. But then the president also asked me to chair a cabinet committee called JCPS, which is Justice, Correctional Services, Police, State Security, where we look at the security of the state, we look at problems of crime, intelligence, everything around the security of the state. So I chair that. And then there's another one that deals with international relation issues that I also chair. The president chairs the economic cluster, but if he's not available, I do that. So we're working very well to share the load because it's a lot of work. So at the moment, we are now planning to visit provinces we have not visited and where we need to return. There are 3 provinces in particular that wanted us to come back: KZN, Eastern Cape, and the Northern Cape. But once we have done all of them, we may also go back to Gauteng because they had wanted me to go to the West Rand as well. So far so good. We work very well with the president. We coordinating this load of work. We're focusing on implementation. And okay, that there one other thing I didn't mention. Also, the president appointed me to be leader of government business. So it means I'm responsible for ensuring that government program, particularly legislation, gets through Parliament. So we're busy at the moment with priority legislation because we can't do everything. So ministers understand they must prioritize. So we are busy with priority legislation and also getting ministers to do what they are expected to do in Parliament, attending meetings of committees, appearing for committees, answering questions. And every time cabinets meet, we remind ministers who may be having outstanding questions to finalize them, but also make sure they attend. So I work very closely with the Speaker, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party as well. So far so good.
I can tell you are very passionate about the work of government. When I go back to government, but a lot of people want to know where you stand on issues and what do you think, because you are now the Deputy President of the country and possibly the next in line to take over after this current president. So if you don't mind, maybe let's go back to your party, the party that you are leading. You just had a long NEC, and also you also reviewed your election manifesto. What is your view on the current state of the ANC? What is your assessment? Is it an ANC that is strong enough to retain its majority after next year's general elections?
With our recent analysis of our work, we're quite convinced that we will win the elections next year. There are provinces where we've agreed we must pay special attention to, and it's mainly three of them. It's Gauteng, KZN, and the Eastern Cape. We're going to pay a lot of attention in those provinces because that's where majority of our people are and where we have a lot of challenges. We were very affected as well by COVID-19, where branches were no longer meeting and so on. But the recovery is going well so far. Leaders of the ANC have been crisscrossing the country, particularly the NWC, to meet with all our structures and make sure that they are focusing on their work. One of the things that we're prioritizing at the moment is getting our structures to get closer to the people and avoid a situation where there is a gap. They must go back there. Many areas, people have problems of water, service delivery, which is one thing that President said I must look at. So we're getting our structures to go out there on the ground and work with communities and so on. Many of them have now gone through their regional conferences. Some are still doing some of their conferences, like Limpopo, still busy with one or two of their regions and branches. But generally, many of them are in good standing now. All the regions are functional. We want them to function optimally, obviously. So we will be going around ourselves as leaders to all provinces. We are in KZN around the 20th of July, all the officials, and we'll also, I think around that time, visit the Shembe Church, because we're also engaging with churches. We don't want to visit churches.
Which one are you going to visit?
In KZN. Well, I'll get details from the SG, but I know that there's a visit to a Shembe Church. I was at the Madisa Church in Zirbekom, the Interpastoral Church. The president was in Moria. So we're visiting churches But there's a lot of work now to ensure that the ANC is strong, because there are many who are saying you will survive only because of coalitions. We actually don't want coalitions, but as people who are realistic, we decided let's set up a framework in case of that eventuality. But firstly, sort out the locals where there's a lot of chaos. So I met with all of parties last week to discuss the approach. We agreed on the dialogue. So we proposed to them, let's have a dialogue. And they've agreed. We'll have it on the 4th of August at the University of the Western Cape. The only party that was not happy was Al Jama. They think they are doing well with their arrangements. We mustn't disturb them, especially in Johannesburg. So, but we've persuaded them that I think it's important to agree on how we manage the dialogues. Must not be about making deals, but must be about the people. Does this, not dialogue, the coalition. The coalition must be such that its priority is to serve the people. So that's what we want to come up with, the dialogue, to say people first. There are other things that not all parties will agree to, because on our side we are proposing that a party with the majority must be allowed to lead a coalition. There are others who are saying no, not necessarily. So we'll debate those issues, but there are others who want legislation right away, the DA in particular, but we said to them, no, let's have a dialogue. Once we've had a dialogue, we'll have a framework. The framework will then guide us throughout the country, at local level, provincial and national. Then later on, we can come with legislation. So in a meeting last Friday, all parties agreed, let's not rush to legislation. Let's have the dialogue first. But we ourselves, as the ANC, we are preparing to win the elections next year.
And to do that, to be able to secure an outright majority in 2024, and I don't want to go into a diagnosis of the ANC's problems. I think they've been over-diagnosed. I want to know from you where you think the ANC, right, needs to improve to be able to secure the kind of votes that will obviously give it a majority again. Which policies do you think need to be reviewed or implemented for the ANC to be able to appeal again to a wider audience, or to the masses more than it does?
Well, this weekend, especially yesterday, we spent time reviewing our current manifesto, the 2019 one, and just to look at which areas have we not done well, and which areas have we done well. And we found that in a number of areas we have done well, but there are other areas where we are lacking. And I'll give you an example. On the economic cluster side, there were people who were feeling strongly that we need to implement prescribed assets because they wanted pension funds to invest in development, and nothing much was done there. So the economic cluster will review that. But if, on the other hand, if you look at issues of housing, you see we have made a lot of advance there. The problem at the moment is really whether we can move faster. And that was our preoccupation. If you look at the economic recovery and reconstruction plan that the president announced, there is a need to move faster to make the economy to recover. So yesterday the NEC came to the conclusion that unless we get the economy to recover faster, we're not going to be able to deal with most of the challenges we're dealing with. We got a presentation from Stats SA, and it was very interesting to get to know that, in fact, poverty levels have gone down from 17% to 7.9% over the past 5 years. And it's very interesting to see what creates that. And many people sometimes undermine the issue of grants, free education, free house. But when you take a conglomeration of all those, South Africans are better off than many other countries because of access to these grants. That's why the poverty levels have gone down. But on the other hand, unemployment remains high. So it means poverty levels were not driven down mainly by employment, but by grants, which obviously needs government to do much to ensure that employment levels go much higher. The economy, on the other hand, has recovered slightly. You'll know that the first quarter of this year, we have a growth of 0.4%. It's not too big, but it went against our worst expectation that we'll go to the negatives. Instead, we didn't. So we're hoping that we can push higher, because as we push high growth, then we get employment. So I would say, yes, we have not dented unemployment too much, but the economy is now growing. And you'll remember that because of COVID, many societies or countries are battling to recover. And we ourselves were worried about the recovery, but you can see it. You need to ramp up now. And that's really where our focus is. Grow the economy, then you can attend to issues of employment, then address the problems of poverty. If we are now at 7.9% of poverty, it means with additional investments by government, you could push it even further down.
Having said that, in the past 5 years, it has the decrease in poverty has not really been driven by employment creation. It has been largely dependency on the state. Don't you think that you are creating a situation where there will be high dependence on the state from the citizens? And secondly, I'd like to know your view on the basic income grant. It has been in the pipeline for the longest of time. I think that's one of the things that you have not implemented. Maybe when you have that discussion in the NEC, is one of the issues that came up. I'd like to know what's your personal view on basic income grant and how much do you think would be enough?
Yeah, ideally, poverty should be brought down by increasing employment. That is happening. Employment is happening, but not to the extent of our satisfaction. Now, government has choices. You can say that, look, we're putting money more into the economy, which we are doing, but there are people who will fall within the cracks. And you can take a decision as government, say, well, forget about them. We took a different decision. Let's look after them. Because it's important in a country that even if people don't have employment, they can eat. Very important. They mustn't go to bed hungry. Any government that ignores that, then it's not a government that is caring. We are a caring government, so we'll continue to give people skills so that they can get employment, so that they can fend for themselves. But where they can't, let's pick them up in the meantime. So it's not the end. So you're quite right. We shouldn't just create dependency. We don't want to have a welfare state. But in the interim, the intervening period, as you grow the economy and create employment, you look after the most vulnerable through grants. And I know that there are many who were saying, this 350, what can it buy? But it's quite clear when you talk to, in fact, somebody made an example to me, I think it was Minister Mamuluko Kuba. He says they were in a meeting somewhere where someone was criticizing the 350. This thing is not working, maybe we must cancel it. He says, people nearly ate that person alive. To say, this thing is helping us. We buy food in our houses, and so on. So we must not undermine grants. Yet we must not be a welfare state. So it's a very fine balance you need to be able to ensure that your people are well off, they can eat, not go to bed hungry, but not become too dependent on the state throughout. So you must create a window of opportunity for them to move out of poverty. The other issue raised that the basic income grant, we agree to that, because if you look at what the president has done now, he has not said we are going to cancel the 350, but we're going to continue. So in a sense, you are putting a basis to ensure a sustainable form of grant that can continue to flow. You may want to call it in different names, but we are very clear that some form of continuous grants to people who are vulnerable must be sustained.
Because your party is saying that implement a basic income grant. National Treasury is saying that actually this thing hasn't been costed, and it could cost a lot of money, and it must be linked to some form of vocational or whatever training or work training. Where do you think the balance can be found? Do you think that a basic income grant should be implemented, but where does the country then find the money to fund such?
Well, I think our government is already giving a lot of grants. Truly speaking, if you look at the subsidies to education, to pensioners, to children who have no parents to support them under the age of 6, subsidizing health care, and this recent grant, SRD. So if you look at it, there are a lot of grants already in the system. National Treasury might say, look, if you give grants, they must be effective. So you don't just want to throw money into the problem and it's not used properly to change the lives of people. But all of us agree that you can't run government through grants. That's why a lot of money is going into the economy as well. I mean, if you look at the emphasis of economic recovery plan, that is funded. And a lot of resources are going into fixing roads, the rail lines, your freight rail, because we want, Transnet to get the goods to the ports. So you need to find that balance. The challenge sometimes is that you find that more money goes to social development than economic. And it's a bit tricky. I know when I was in Gauteng, that was our preoccupation, and at some point we said, guys, we need to keep this, below 70%, and going down and down. Because once you have 70 plus going to social, you have little for economic. Then you have the danger of becoming a welfare state. So we are very conscious about that and the grants that we are providing. So social development and national treasury, there's a healthy tension there, because social development obviously is this problem hits them in the face. So they are trying to get more resources to the grants. National Treasury says no, but we're already giving more. But we will find a balance. And I agree myself that let us put a lot of money also in the economic cluster. But I don't think it will be fair to leave millions of people hungry.
Shoba, can I ask one more question? One last question. You said you are in charge of the JCPS cluster.
Yeah.
If I can take you back to that, given what happened 2 years ago with the riots, the unrest, the civil unrest, right? The conclusion was that there was a failure of security all around. Failure of intelligence, failure of policing, failure of everything. Right now, what are you getting from the cluster itself in terms of a possible repeat of these kinds of riots? We've seen the burning of trucks recently. Those are bad indicators. What are you getting from the cluster? Are they seeing a bubbling of a sort of a repeat of these riots? And can the country, if they were to happen again, this kind of unrest, will the country now be ready this time around to quell this kind of unrest?
They should be ready, because they themselves accepted that they didn't have good coordination at that time. So now they are ready. There's better coordination. President and myself have met the economic cluster to discuss these matters. As you know, we've brought in Minister Kumbuzo now in the state security. So we're getting them to coordinate much tighter and much better to avoid those situations. And we are meeting. We met with the security cluster 2 months ago with the president. We're meeting them again the next 4 months to see whether the plans that they put before us are being implemented. There are a lot of plans that they now have. Justice, intelligence, police, the army, they are now working in a very coordinated way. So I'm convinced that if the plan they gave me and the president is implemented, we will not have a repeat of what happened.
Maybe in addition to the policies that you and the manifesto that the ANC is reviewing, the ANC will have to then, I imagine, work on its image. So when this leadership came in 2017, it promised to clean up. There was even a slogan that this is the new dawn. Looking back at what has been achieved since 2017, do you think the ANC has been able to do that, to act against corrupt individuals? And do you think that right now, did this current leadership learn from the mistake of the Nkandla scandal, when the ANC just sort of protected its leader instead of looking at what is the problem and trying to resolve that problem? And lastly, maybe, do you think the ANC, the way it handled the Phala issue, was correct?
It was correct, because you'll recall that there were a lot of investigations going on. There was a public protector, there was, what was the other agency? Reserve Bank, SARS. So our approach then as the ANC was that let's allow these to be concluded, and I think we're getting there. Public protectors given a report. So once it's done, then we know what the reports are saying, then we take it from there. We have agreed as the ANC that we will protect no one. Even yesterday we emphasized protect. We won't protect the president, the deputy president, the officials, no one. In fact, this weekend we finalize the operations of the Integrity Commission. We've finalized their terms of reference. We've agreed we're going to give them more resources.
Sorry to interject, Deputy President. You've agreed that you protect no one, but there is a report by an independent panel appointed by Parliament that said that the President has a case to answer. And the ANC decided to vote against that report. So I don't understand. How do you then say that you agreed that you would protect no one when you have actually voted against the report that said the President has to answer?
Yes, let me not speak for Parliament, but Parliament came to the conclusion that the report was putting the cart before the horse, that there are still processes unfolding. Wait. At the moment, you don't have a case, that the President have a case to answer. There are still investigations going on. We will deal with it then. The others wanted to deal, even before the public protector report, they say, no, the President has a case to answer. So we took a different approach and said, no, let's allow the processes to end. This report is putting the cart before the horse.
Does this mean then that when all these reports are out, then the ANC will come back and say maybe the Integrity Commission should look at this matter?
Indeed, if there's overwhelming evidence that requires Parliament to relook at the matter, why not? We will respect the integrity of all these processes. So we can't just close our eyes, but of course we do want to get everybody who's investigating this matter to conclude. The public protector is done. We're waiting for the others to conclude theirs.
DP, what do you make of the tensions that are existing within the executive and within Cabinet over energy policy? We've reported extensively that, for example, Minister Mantashe didn't come to the signing of a hydrogen thing, even though he was called specifically by the President to come and sign, and he didn't sign. He said himself, I would not sign because I don't believe in it. And there seems to be a lot of disagreement over whether renewables versus baseload and etc. With, of course, Minister Mantashe being on this side, to say that renewables won't solve the problem for now. Given load shedding and everything, where do you stand on issues of energy policy?
Okay, two things: disagreement and renewable. On disagreement, I spoke to Minister Mantashe myself. He indicated that yes, he didn't sign because he had not read the document. And he said, look, I need to appraise myself of what the issues are. In this case, I had not, so I decided I will not sign it. But there is no difference in approach on energy policy. We all agreed. There's always a view that the others want renewables, others not. No, it's not true. We all want renewables. I think the issue has been how quick do we transition? And our view is that, yes, we should transition to clean energy, use renewables, but because we still have a lot of demand now for energy, our base load is coal, so you do need your coal-fired power stations that can still give you some megawatts to be maintained and serviced. And that's what Sputla is doing. Many people don't understand why do we suddenly don't have stage 8. It's because your coal-fired power stations are giving us something. They are able to take them out to maintenance, bring them back. Kusile unit, 4 units have been brought back. So we are saying, as we transition to the renewables, let's keep the lights on. Minister Mantashe agrees, Minister Ramaphosa agrees, all the ministers are at one. on that. I know that Minister Mantashe saying people are accusing him of being a cold man, or nothing. No, it's not the case. But as the leadership of the country, we have this resource called coal. It's not clean, but you do want to keep your lights on as you move that side. That's really what we're doing.
Maybe, Deputy President, is there, let me say that the kind of responsibilities that you have, and you are one of the most visible Deputy President that I've seen in a while. Is there talk, maybe, that because there are these problems that might come back to haunt the president? Is there a discussion that is happening within of maybe a smooth transition when that matter happens, and whether are they prepared? Is there a process of preparing you to then take over the reins when that happens?
No.
But if it was to happen, if the Hawks were to come back and then say, we've done this investigation, or the Reserve Bank makes it report public and say, we have found the problem here, will you be ready to then step in into the position?
Remember, the president of the ANC, who's the president of the country, is the decision of the ANC itself. Should the president not be available for some reason, the ANC will decide what to do next. So at the moment, there are no problems. The good thing with the ANC is that it's got a lot of good leaders, so we won't have a crisis.
So you said at the weekend that there are people who want you out, and I understand that you were reluctant to mention them. But we know the messages that people are talking about. We know that those messages, some of them are said to be have been written by the former advisor to the president, Mr. Bejani Chauke. And we know that some of the scandals that have come out about you, some of the people have links to people in cabinet. If I can make one example, one lady has links to the Minister of Communications, Mr. Mondli. Are those the people that you are talking about that are behind the plot to get rid of you?
I didn't mention anybody because I don't know who they are. But we talked with the president about this matter yesterday, and he has also done his checking, and he's concluded that there is no plot. So for now, we regard this as faceless people, to the extent that some people believe their phones are being cloned by someone. So we decided let's leave it there.
But are you aware that some of the messages are purported to be from Mr. Chauke?
It has not been brought to my attention.
Is there a reason you think people might not want you to eventually be president?
There are always a reason why people don't want someone.
In your case, have you figured out why they are so opposed to you?
I wouldn't know, except that people may think that you won't implement the best policies they want. Might be the case.
But policies are policies of the ANC.
Yeah, but people always think, hey, this one might not be the best one to implement them. Let's get somebody else. But it's not good to speculate, so we decided with the president, let's leave it. So if you read the president's statement, it says, I appointed the DP. I'm the only one who can remove him, and as far as I'm concerned, I have no such plans.
And you don't want a formal thing where this is investigated, and if these people do exist, that they unmask?
No, I don't want formal investigation because it's politics, and I understand politics. when you're a political leader, you live in that environment. So it's okay. People don't like you. The only thing is you must focus on doing your work and do it correctly. Forget about people. So that's my position. Now, President said to go out there, sort out the service delivery. I'm there on the ground.
Does that mean that you are satisfied with the explanation that the phones were cloned?
I'm satisfied that the President wants us to focus on the work and that he is the only one who can remove me. He has no such intention. Me and him are continuing to work and we share the load. We're focusing on the work. Let's forget about the faceless people.
Just from my side, there's a perception that, there's tensions between you and the president, and therefore some of these faceless people that you speak of are doing his bidding. But you've been saying since we arrived here that you and the president are coordinating properly. I mean, how are you viewing that, these allegations around, there's a supposed tension between you and the president?
I don't think they are doing his bidding. Because of my closeness with the president and the work we do, I know that they are not doing his bidding.
Whose bidding are they doing?
For themselves, because they are not sent by the president.
Are these people in the ANC, in cabinet, in government?
They've hidden their faces, so we don't know them. They are faceless people. But I think we must understand the political environment. You can't be liked by everybody. So I've just concluded, you know what, it's okay. But me and the president, we are together.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Siabo.
Well, that's all the time we have on the Sunday Times Politics Weekly this week. Thanking colleagues Caiphus Kgosana, Kgothatso Madisa, and Sibongakonke Shoba for that interview. I'm Mike Siluma. Until next time, do stay safe, stay blessed, and let's do good for our country.